thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah, Lynda Collison from Bozeman, Montana. Originally, but as just mentioned, I've been overseas over 30-some years. Lately from Eswatini with TEAM, the Evangelical Alliance Mission. I work in two major ministries there that are represented there, the Eswatini Bible College, and then with Bavon Chapel. Now the lady that's posing with me, the girls there, is Deborah Prentice. She also teaches at the Bible College and is a widow. So it's nice. There's two single ladies and we do some things together, which is very nice. But, okay. Is that pointed?
Yep.
That way.
Yeah.
And I'm pressing
Maybe
the
it's
right
not on.
one.
No, it'll reach.
Oh,
But it might
This
not
one?
be on. Let's see.
yeah.
It is on. Okay, now try
Maybe
it.
point this way, huh?
Try it. How about
Okay.
that?
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the tale of 3 years, since it's been 3 years. 2019 was a fairly normal year, but the big deal for us was getting new dorm rooms. The guys just had 2 big open rooms, and all the guys had to fit somehow into there. So it wasn't very private, no room to really do their studies or their devotions or anything like that. And we had managed to get some money, and you can see the 2 floor plans. And they were divided up into rooms of 2 or 3 students together. And then you can see the dorms of the second side, the orange side there, and one of the dorm rooms. So you can fit 2 beds in there and a couple desks, and much more private, even if you have to share. And so that was very exciting that the students really enjoy it. The ones, especially the ones who have lived in the big rooms, really notice the difference of having more private rooms. In 2019, it really was a regular year. We had a team visit, and they shared a little bit of their testimony in the chapel, even though they were mostly coming for a different ministry associated with one of the missionaries there. In that year, I did teach English because they all, speak in Siswati. So getting English base to encourage them, because our curriculum is in English. Whoops, I'm too fast there. Was in English, and so they need to grasp more English. So we give them a base and give them some strategies to read and learn to write and all that kind of stuff. It was a really good year for our graduates. We had quite a crowd there. As you can see, one of the highest that we had. Since I've been there, there were 15 graduates, which for us was a very good number. And among those, many were soldiers. So they were coming to learn to be chaplains for the Army. So that was exciting to think that God was reaching through us into the Siswati Army. So that was a really good year. But the next year was a little bit different. We started out very well. You can see in that upper picture with all the students. And the side picture is the one that was their second year. And it started to change because we started the year just fine. As you know, we got towards the end of our first quarter in March, and COVID came through, and things were shutting down. We were in our exam week, and the Department of Education said, close your schools. And we're like, we just need a little time to finish our exams. And so we managed to finish our exams and send the students home. And nobody knew what was going on. And so we were like, what do we do for the rest of the year? Is it going to open up? So we kind of delayed to see if what was happening. And then we realized if we're going to get anything done, we need to have the students do it at home. Now they use WhatsApp there. Most of the students have a WhatsApp on their phone. They can get data and do WhatsApp. So we decided we would communicate mostly through WhatsApp. The groups are easy to form, so we formed the groups and managed to get their workbooks and other information out to them so they studied at home. But because we delayed so long, they only had 1 week to do an 8-week course. And so that was not a good way to do it, but we kind of just forced it through. And then, interestingly enough, just a little while later, we managed to open up just 1 week late for third quarter. So they came on campus, but then it was with all the regulations. You know, you had your mask, and actually still there they are wearing a mask. So sometimes I feel a little more comfortable if I had a mask in public, but I'm sanitizing. I came in and was tempted to look around for a sanitizer to clean my hands and do that kind of stuff because that's still everywhere there. But that year, we spaced the desks out, and in our chapel, we didn't have room to fit all the students. So we had outside chapel. They had to stand around for about a half an hour as we sang, and then they had their little devotional kind of preaching, and then any announcements. And so it was a bit different, but we were so glad to be on campus after after a quarter of no classes that there weren't very many complaints. But just as we were starting our fourth quarter, or about to start our fourth quarter, the next wave was coming through. And so we had to say, oh no, come and get your workbooks. We'll give you an introduction to your class, but you're going to have to do it at home because, again, you can't have school open. And so they had to go home, do it at home. So that was 2 quarters out of 4 that one class was missing in on-campus classes. But we managed somehow to get through the year. Somehow at the beginning of the next year, we managed to graduate that particular class. But, and we managed to have time in November to get them together for a retreat. And I also went to 2 weddings, which was interesting because both of the gentlemen's names were Safiso. So somehow it was the weddings of the Safiso of our classes. But again, we wore masks and there was distance and it was rather unique, and yet, for posing you take off the mask. But anyway, it was a blessing to see these students go out. They're married, they'll be able to start with the support of a wife, their new ministry. Also during that year, towards the end of 20, we started building a house. It was a bare ground, and then by this past November, we had most of the house done. It still needs some light fixtures and maybe a little wiring, the sewer, and the kitchen, the whole kitchen cabinet area with the sink and everything. But considering that the economy was up and down, having been frozen around April, and just getting up, we were very pleased to be able to get the house this far. For 2021, we actually, that particular wave was still there in January, so we had the students come, get their workbooks, gave them the introduction, and they had to study at home. But then in April, after Easter, we were able to bring them on campus again. Everybody was very happy being able to learn on campus. And then we started third quarter. We did a whole week of third quarter, and we had civil unrest. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but that closed our third quarter. It was a very unique situation for Eswatini. They had not had anything like it under this present king. So, but that calmed down enough, and we were able to get together the fourth quarter. So we had a retreat time, and then I went to another wedding of a Safiso. I was like, I didn't really realize when I was going to all the weddings that the guys are all named Safiso until I put this together. But yeah, he is a unique student in that he was a Zionist. A Zionist is a church that mixes, I've shared a bit about it, but it mixes a lot of ancestor worship right in with their worship of Jesus Christ. They can pray as much to an ancestor as to Jesus Christ sometimes. And so the guy in black and the lady in the dark dress are Brett and Evelyn Miller. They work with the Zionists. And so they are trying to get the truth out to the Zionists. And they are reaching into some churches and making a difference, but it's a slow process. And so they have a school, but it's been struggling too with the COVID, but they keep persevering. And lives are still changing, and minds. That's the big thing. Changing your worldview from an African tradition where you have that close contact with your ancestors, and the biblical worldview when Jesus Christ is your mediator, your only mediator. And it's a real different mindset that you have to have. So, yeah. So in April of 2020, you know, we had to go with the mass, and it was an economical shutdown and a real struggle. Pretty much up till September when, yeah, again, it kind of came through again. This is what the Prime Minister there making the announcement, official announcement, which I received through WhatsApp, but just to show that we still do use our WhatsApp, making the official announcement that things were closing down, and we were, and then in civil unrest in 2020, at the end of June, beginning of July, again the government had to shut down. It was an unexpected, well, the intensity was unexpected. The other church asked me what started it, so he was not, the economy was not picking up again. And the king was not listening to requests to change the government, give more freedom in elections, give more, but mostly it was connected to getting the economy going again. And so they had student protests, and a student was killed. And that sparked off the violence. There were two main parliament members that kind of guided that movement. They were arrested. There was a lot of pressure from the embassies of other countries to kind of, for the king not to do anything, too much, and he let them go into house arrest. And there was still a lot of people unhappy with that, and so there were burning of buildings, some businesses that opposed the movement for this, and eventually churches and schools. Unfortunately, some rural schools were burned just to get the king's attention. It eventually calmed down, but yeah, we missed third quarter. then like I said, in September, we were able to finish. So, yeah, it was a very unique year between COVID, or set of years between COVID and the civil unrest. I actually felt I had some of that in Colombia, so I wasn't as scared as maybe some others. During that intense week, I do confess, our campus has a fence, but it's not a super strong fence, and if somebody wanted to get over it, it would have been very easy. So Deborah and I went to the Millers, who were in a safer position, and we stayed with them for a week. And then we went back to campus because it had calmed down enough. But people were cautious for a couple months after that. In July and August, people were very cautious because there would be little flare-ups and many threats that they would start again. But it kind of all calmed down. Unfortunately, we don't know what all was behind that, but yeah, at least it calmed down and things were able to continue. So another ministry I had that I shared last time was with Bavon Chapel, and it was the Sweet Aroma Girls. And so these are girls from 6 years old up to about 12 years old. We would get together and divide them in about 2 groups and then answer their questions and teach them biblical truth. At the end of the year, we kind of had a really big party. We invited all the girls who had come before. And so now we had teenagers there, but it was really nice because some of the older teenagers volunteered to help out with like the discussion groups and the craft groups. As you see up there, they had a Bible time with the pastor of Bavon Chapel and some discussion groups, and then they did some dances. Every year at Christmas time they would select a song, and it's a growing experience to work as a team and dance in front of people. And so it was a good time to have more unity among the girls and make them feel part of a group. And they did a very good job. And so this was the beginning of a song. I didn't catch them in action, but that's all right. And then I was in charge of the crafts, and we did several verses on godly character. And so each table had a different verse, and they just decorated it and then shared it with the other groups. And it was a very special time. The next year, I did start the Sweet Aroma Girls, but it was only in February. By March, we just kind of stopped. I have the date wrong in there. It should be 2020, not 2021. I didn't realize that. It's 2020, not 2021. Yeah, we were only able to do February because in March it was already being warned that they're going to shut down. So we quit, unfortunately, and haven't been able to start up. But this was one time again that they took the first letter of their name and thought of a positive quality. And so they made their name into positive qualities. And I said, whenever you get down, just remember this. You are these positive qualities. And so it was trying to be an encouragement to them, because you're always under pressure from the world to think negative things about yourself. And so I was trying to encourage them to think positive things. So at least I got that much done, and we'll see. God's still working in their lives, I'm sure. Another thing I did with Bavon Chapel was dress a girl, and what we did was 19 and 20, we would make dresses, and then we would go out to rural churches and give dresses to the girls. And often they didn't get, about 1 or 2 dresses a year, if that. Their parents just didn't have money to do that, and hand-me-downs, and you know how that works. And so we would get this material and make dresses, and I don't know if you can see the yellow girl. The little yellow girl is wearing one of those yellow dresses, and it was really good to go out and share those dresses and give a little bit of a devotional that God is with them, God is listening. He noticed them, even though they're girls, because it is still a very male-orientated culture, but that they are valuable to Jesus Christ and they are loved, and yeah, they should remember that. And so that was very good to encourage the girls in that direction. And we actually gave each girl about 2 dresses, just because we had so many, because we were not able to go out as many places as we wanted in 2020. But that has also kind of been on hold since then. In Babban Chapel, also at the end of 2020, the government refused to give the pastor another permit to stay in the country. So Babban Chapel was without a pastor. We did, they videoed and YouTubed the sermons, and that's how they had it. People would, get on YouTube or Facebook, because it could be transferred to there, and that's pretty much what they did. There were a couple times in the year where we would go for a few weeks when it opened up, like when the school was opened up, we also met, but then it would close down again, and the church would be a little slow to open up, just to see if the change was really going to happen. But in October, they managed to find a very good Bible teacher from Zimbabwe. And here's the time when he was introducing his family. And then the next picture when we inducted him as a pastor into the church. The former pastor managed to come over and be part of that ceremony. So that was kind of a formal, time of saying now he is the pastor. But, and he is very good. He's got Zoom Bible study, and then he's got the same Bible study in the church. He got that going last year, and he's continuing it. He's got plans to start Sunday school. In fact, they started Sunday school, and I said I would be helping that when I get back to Eswatini. They have a little bit of a youth going, but we need lots of prayers because being Zimbabwean, they may deny his permit again. So we're just praying that they would accept him as the pastor of this church. He also does student work, which is the reason he was in the country, was to do work with the college students. So he is still doing some of that as well. So we are also praying that he just doesn't get overloaded, trying to get too much done. Okay. Another ministry that I don't have a lot of contact with, but that I also support and do participate some in, is Crossroads. I believe that I shared with Crossroads. It's a program that's character-based, trying to teach students how to develop their character. And because of certain conflicts with the local Campus Crusade that Crossroads is under, this particular ministry changed its name to World Impact. So it's locally impacting the world. In 2020, with all the shutdown, they managed to get on television. God opened the door, and they were on television for about 3 months, one night, I think every other week. And they talked about a whole host of things, about parents dealing with boys, parents dealing with girls, peer pressure, and just handling the stress. And it was a very unique opportunity, and God used it mightily to reach out to a lot more people than just the schools that they normally dealt with. So, that ended, and then 2021, they focused on 2 areas. They realized that with all the stress, that people needed to know about mental health and how to deal with that stress. So they went for the top guns, they went to the principals, They developed a workshop and they took it to the principals. Later the principals expressed appreciation for this because it helped them understand why they weren't reacting, as well as they wanted to, because they themselves were under stress. And so they needed to know how to handle that stress and then be able to encourage their teachers instead of, you need to, whatever. And so they expressed appreciation for that. And then the other one, to help the students, we have a program, discovered a program, actually from Switzerland, called Study with Success. And it teaches self-discipline on your studies. Too often students rely on the teacher telling them how to do everything. And so this program teaches the students how to take responsibility for their own studies. And so you can see in the top is high school, in the bottom is college, and so we were able to reach out to a few schools around the Baban-Mansini area with Studies with Success. And the teachers there expressed their appreciation for us coming in to help the students do that, because their students started to do better with their own studies. Because even as our quarters were on and off, the high school and all the schools were on and off. And so it was really hard for the students to learn anything because they didn't have that self-discipline. And so that was very helpful. It helped them get that self-discipline. Now I'm with team, and every now and then we get together and have times of encouragement. And so in 2019, we had the ladies' retreat in Eswatini. And so it was nice for them to come over. Usually we have to travel quite a ways to there. And so this time they came to us. And it was a good gathering. We had a good time together. And a kind of special event, or not everybody participated, was we went zip lining. So there we are. I don't have a picture of us on the zip line, but there we are, all harnessed up, ready to go to the next zip line. And it's kind of fun, a little scary, but fun. It's a zip line. I've actually done it 3 times now, but anyway. And then also in 2019, before the COVID started, we managed to get a fellowship retreat in, which was really good because we meet every year at a business meeting, but this was just fellowship. We just could have fun. We walked around, visited some places around. The kids put on skits. You can see one standing up there. I don't remember exactly what the skit was, but anyway, doing that. And then in the evening, sometimes we would just play card games and just have fun, laughing, and just enjoying each other. And so we need that, just to take time, that downtime to restore our love for the ministry. We did have an annual conference in 2020 where we met all together, and then by April, things were shutting down, and Deborah had some medical issues that she was going to take care of at the end of the year, but decided she needed to leave because we didn't know if it was going to be open at the end of the year. And so she took off and was able to take care of those medical issues that year. And then when she came back last year, one of our relaxing times was we went on a horseback ride. And I think that was the first time I was on a horse in Africa, so it was kind of fun. I mean, rental horses aren't exciting, but it was just nice to be on a horse. So, yeah, that was just kind of a fun time to have. Ah, yes. I can't talk about Africa unless I mention the animals, of course. In 2019, I did manage to go to Kruger Park with the Millers. Deb and I went, and so, of course, we saw a lion, the elephants, the zebra, a couple birds there. The really bright bird is one of my favorites when it displays all of its colors. It's really bright. God got really creative with that bird in the coloring. And so that is a really nice way to relax in Africa as well, is, you know, go to the national parks and game reserves and see what God created. So, thanks for all your prayer and your financial support, and may God continue to bless and keep you all here in Avon. And I do pray for you every week. I have a schedule praying for different churches that support me, so I think of you and I do pray for you. And knowing that you pray for me as well. So, God's blessing on all of you. And if there are any questions, I am open to answer questions at this time. I hope I've not been talking too fast. I get going fast.
Are they still getting waves of COVID then, or has it kind of stopped and you'll be able to open up more?
Well, with this Omicron, they worried a little bit, but they decided, no, they weren't going to close down because that was such a disaster. Because when they closed down, it took them so long to get going again that the government really doesn't want to shut down. Deb, who's a nurse practitioner, sometimes she said, the numbers are going up, they should close. And I said, Deb, you don't want them to close. And they don't want to close. But their school is like, I believe around here, you know, they go some days and they don't go other days. It's a rotating system. And so the education is still struggling. This last 2 years has been a real struggle to get that education in. But they really focus on what they call a matric. And then 2 years earlier than that, those are the tests they really help the students get through, because those are the ones that would help them get into college and that kind of stuff. So we are hoping this year has no problems, you know, at least in that area, and to continue on. Now, we have a very small class though. We have 9 that are in 3rd years, but because we were not able to have a first year in the first quarter, we only have 4 students the second quarter. And we've only had 3 students come this year, and 7 students is not enough to sustain the school. We are praying. We accept people the second quarter because you can make up 1 quarter's worth of classes over the year. That is what I'm doing with the second years this year. They're making up classes. I tuck them in here and there. And so if we don't get more, the school will not be able to sustain itself. We do need more people. Even with missionaries doing a lot of the teaching, that saves, of course, a lot of expense because they don't have to pay those teachers. But even with just 3, or actually 4 Eswatinis that we are paying money to, that is not enough money to do that, to sustain that. So we're really praying just what God is going to do with that school in the future. The other aspect, which I shared last night, the 4th, is that because of Corona and different things, there are not so many people volunteering as missionaries to go out because one doesn't know what the situation will be. And so we are not getting people that could come and take over when we retire. I'm getting closer to that than I think I should be, but it's with 37 years overseas, I'm not as young as I used to be, obviously. And Deborah will be retiring in 2024. And so we've told the school, pretty much, we will be here till the end of 2024, but we have no guarantees that we can get another missionary to come and help out. And so, yeah, we're just really praying that God will open doors, either from this side or from that side, or just what he wants done with that school. Because it still makes an impact among the churches in Swaziland. So, yeah, that's in his hands. Only so much planning can he do. Yes.
Thank you for your prayers, Lynda, and we'll be praying for you as you transition. What is your average temperature? I know that you're warmer, of course, than us, but what's your average on the day?
Okay, in the summers, it can get into the 90s, okay? The summers are actually now. We're in the summer now, except it's been a cool summer. This summer we haven't gotten into the 90s a lot. It's been rainy, which is somewhat good, but also too much rain isn't good for some of the root plants and that kind of stuff. And then in the winter, actually, it goes down into the 50s. Yeah. And there you don't have heated houses, so you just cover up with blankets. So, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I apologize if I missed you say it, but the house that you're having built, is that one that you and Deb share, or was that for?
No, that is just for another staff
Just for
member.
another staff, okay.
I thought, we had that planned because we did not know COVID was coming, of course. And so our hope was that we would get another Eswatini staff member who could come. Well, actually, the principal will probably change to that house, but then we would have his house open for another staff member. And yeah, COVID kind of shifted things, so we'll just see how if that will happen. But
Where exactly are you from?
say again?
Where are you exactly from?
Where am I from?
Yeah,
I'm from Bozeman.
beg your pardon?
Bozeman. I'm from Bozeman. I was born in Helena, though, but I don't remember that part.
Well, where are you working?
Oh, I'm working in Eswatini, Africa.
Okay, now the dress you have on is so totally different. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. It is Eswatini. It's an Eswatini dress.
Is that the type of a dress they wear there?
Yeah, a lot of the ladies will wear dresses very similar to this. Yeah. Now, it's not their native dress. I shared this over there. Their native dress is just 2 pieces of cloth, okay? And you take and you wrap one around the lower half and you wrap one around the top half. If you saw the Prime Minister, you saw he had the native dress. I mean, you only saw the top half, but he was also wearing just a skirt on the bottom half, just a wraparound. It's not really a wraparound because you don't have your ties. You just wrap them. Yeah.
And do they wear that much, or are they pretty much
All-
westernized?
All their ceremonies, they'll wear that. But no, for most of their business and all that, they don't wear the native. Just their ceremonies. The king will wear it because he likes to represent the country with his native dress. But he also just mostly wears the western wear. Yeah.
Are they normally a real religious people?
Yes, they are very religious. Like I said, out, especially in the country, they worry about their ancestors, but they consider themselves Christians. There's the tale that the former king, the present king's father, he had a dream, okay? And there was an offering of a coin and a book. And he chose the book. And then when he focused on it, he realized the book was the Bible. And so that's why he let Christian missionaries come into the country and preach to his people. But a lot of that, as I said, is mixed up with them still hanging on to pray to their ancestors if things get really serious, they pray first to their ancestors, because they seem to answer more than God, at least in their mind. And then there's also the pressure of health and wealth gospel. Also has been exported over there, and unfortunately, because they're poor, that's what they want. I mean, they need the wealth and they need the health to make a good living. And so that is one of the pressures we have to work with as well, is to explain that's not what the Bible says. Yeah, those promises. Yes.
Do they have taxes there?
I'm sorry?
Do they have taxes there? Do like the king, do they tax their people?
Oh, yeah. He
They have
taxes.
their rich and their poor.
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
deal there?
Yeah. There's the rich, which are mostly the king's family, and then the rest of the people. Okay?
These schools, are they the only schools there? I mean, does the government have its own schools or?
Yeah, throughout the land you'll find little government schools all over. No, I wouldn't say every community, but almost every community will have an elementary school. A lot of them, the people themselves helped build it, which is when they were burning it, was really sad. And then sometimes they'll have a high school. Sometimes together, but most often separated on slightly different campuses. They do have boarding schools, but most often the parents just have to send the kids to the school. Kind of the rural picture you have here. But in the cities, there's lots of private schools. So the rich send their kids to private schools. Yeah, those with a little bit of money send them to private schools.
What language do they speak?
Siswati.
Pardon?
Where exactly in Africa is that country?
Siswati. It's just let me finish. It's a language very close to Zulu. Have you heard of Zulu? South Africa speaks Zulu. Okay, one of their 13 main languages is Zulu. But Siswati is a cousin. Okay, it's a language with lots of clicks, and yeah.
Can you speak it?
No. I've learned a few phrases, like I shared with the other church. Sabonani is their greeting, and what it means is "I see you all," which is a very nice greeting. You know, I see you all. So, and you respond yellow. Yes, I see you too. Is the idea. So, no, I spent like 2 years, and I was getting a hold of the grammar, and I was able to speak some, and then I came home, and then I went back, and I never got back into it, and unfortunately, I haven't been able to do it. I still remember Espanol, though. But, yeah. Now, somebody asked another question.
Yeah, where exactly in Africa is the country?
Okay. South Africa is the southernmost country, okay? If you go on the side of the Indian Ocean, okay, you have Mozambique, okay? Swaziland is surrounded by South Africa on 3 sides and Mozambique on 1 side. So it's just a little circle, not an exact circle, but you know, basically just a little circle, landlocked circle, kingdom. It's one of the 2 kingdoms because Lesotho also is another kingdom that's totally surrounded by South Africa. And the 2 kingdoms managed to survive because they became what is the word I'm trying to think? Protected by the British when they were doing all the rearranging of countries and stuff. So those 2 kingdoms managed to hang on because their kings were smart enough to make a deal with Britain so that they could hang on to it.
Are they influenced a lot by South Africa, or are they?
Oh, yeah.
People, yeah.
Oh yeah, we depend a lot on South Africa for goods. when the borders were closed, yeah, it was very hard. They were getting out of a bunch of items until they opened the border, and we were able to get those items again, including petrol. Yeah, that was getting a little tight for a while. Yeah. So.
Do they have a lot of English, like farms and ranches and stuff there?
The English are still there, but I wouldn't say they have a lot of the land. Interestingly enough, I didn't share this in the other one, but the Asians have a lot of the businesses. The Middle East Asians are in a lot of the businesses. That's where the Muslim influence, although it's not strong in Swaziland yet, it is there. We have some Indians also over, some Korean, China, not a whole lot. They tie themselves more with Taiwan than with mainland China. They figure two small kingdoms, I guess, is what the king would be more likely to be friendly. Yeah.
Do you have trouble with the Muslims there?
So far, no. No, there are clues that maybe some Zulus came over in the time of unrest, but that's just, yeah.
How many students do you need to make the school operate?
Around 30 is a good number, so if we have groups of around 9 or 10 students, we can function pretty decently. Yeah. We're not built for more than 30, really, but 30 is a good number. Yes?
Do you teach just the older kids?
Yeah, these are college students. Well, actually, a number of them are past college. They're already have done some business. A few of them have already done some business, and then feel that the Lord calls them to be ministry. Yeah. Some of them, in their testimonies, share that they delayed. They felt called, but then they delayed in coming. But finally, God said, "You better go," and so they